Good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful day in Arizona and lovely day. It's about 70 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning. And Kevin's on his way, should be here momentarily. And we're going to do what we laughingly refer to as a cold start. This is not Denver, where a cold start is a cold start. But a cold start for us here in Phoenix is anything overnight, So it hadn't been running 24 hours, hadn't been run since yesterday. It ran nicely yesterday, but this is step one of the final testing. If we get a good, if we get a good cold start and we get a good idle, then we'll consider the bike ready for a road test, which Kevin will probably do Saturday. I think tomorrow's tied up. So the bike, this is going to be a cold start by Phoenix standards, and let's see what happens. Okay, in the meantime, I'll go over here and we'll do the bad dad joke of the day while we wait for Big K to come on down. Let's see, let's just walk over here. We have our bad dad jokes of the day. And today's joke is, I got fired from the banana factory. I kept throwing away the bent ones. Okay. All right. So, let's just go down and take a look at the outside. This is typical Phoenix. There's not a cloud in the sky. And that's what we have probably 300 days a year. And I do love living here. I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, the land of the gray snow and the land of the ever wet bath towels. They never dry. Too much humidity. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Kevin's here. We're going to start the bike. We've decided. All right, clean that up. Yeah. For traction purposes, that we would clean up the overnight oil. If this bike had amyls on it, we would tickle the amyls. That's an enricher. And so what we're going to do here with the Mikuni is we're going to try these first few kicks with the enricher on and see how it goes. And with the enricher, when you push the lever down, that turns the enricher on. And we're going to have two gases on because it's fresh gas. We have a number 60 pilot jet in this bike. A 60. I've never seen a bike take more than a 30 or 35. So with this competition engine, competition cam possibly, we got it running yesterday and it sounded really good. So this is a 24-hour cold start. Let's give her a few strokes and see what happens. So nice.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, actually, while we have the video going, let's make sure it's still going. Are you still going? Yeah, good. We're still going. I spent about an hour last night on the Google.
Yeah.
And Siri,
Uh-huh.
talking about why do competition cams need larger gaps when you set the rocker clearance. And there's a whole lot of information about ramps and this, but the bottom line that all the different experts that I found, which were a bunch, is if you put a high performance cam in a motorcycle, the assumption is that you're going to ride it at high performance.
Sure.
This is not going to be a casual country ride bike. This bike is going out to be ridden hard. When you ride a bike or any vehicle hard, they work harder, they get hotter.
Expansion.
And if they get hotter, the exhaust valves especially get hotter.
Yeah.
They use up the gap as they get longer and tighter.
Wow.
So they make the gap larger to have more useful gap when the engine is extremely hot in order to protect the valve, the rocker arm, the push rod, and especially the lifter down at the bottom. That's what I gleaned from about an hour of looking for reasons for having a larger gap. Now, having said that, I'm going to talk to the previous owner of this bike who bought it from the previous owner of him, who said it has a racing motor, and see if I can get contact information for the guy who sold the bike saying it has a racing motor. And if so, I'm going to ask him what modifications were made to this bike in order to turn it into a racing bike. And if one of the reasons is a different cam, can he tell me name of manufacturer? Can he tell me what they recommend for gaps? Does he have any paper at all on the bike? Or did he buy it as a racing bike? Which is really realistic. These bikes, in my humble opinion, by the time they get into this shop, have been through at least 5 owners. And every one of them works on them. Which is why I hope this gets past YouTube censors. I made up a German word. The German word is unfucked. And I spend a lot of time unfucking these bikes. Undoing all the things that people over the years have done, that when you accumulate them and bring the bike to us, we're usually shop of last resort. By now, the bikes that we get in our shops have been through 2 or 3 mechanics, not to mention the owners. And oh, they are so screwed up. So, which is why, when you say, how long is it going to take to get it to run? The answer is, we have no idea. Well, what do you think it's going to cost? We have no idea. And then sometimes I say to them, look, you got a number in the back of your mind. You've got a number that you think would be a realistic estimate to get this bike running. And I'd say to them, now think of that number, triple it. And I'm not being facetious, and I'm not being funny. Whatever you think would be a reasonable amount of money for us to get this bike running, it's probably going to be 3 times that amount and 3 times as long. If you have followed the videos on this bike, I think we're up to, 15 videos.
Oh, at least.
At least 15 days we've worked on this bike and done video. That doesn't even include the days between those days when I worked on the bike and didn't document it. I mean,
and what we always try to do is give people the sort of worst possible scenario, so that they're prepared. And usually it's a little less than that, but the point is they're prepared. It's that, what is it? Under promise and over deliver.
We definitely over deliver. I would say that Kevin and I both charge 1/3 of the hours that we actually put into these bikes. Because frankly, I don't charge when I'm spinning my wheels and saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm not charging for that time. So that's just philosophy of our shops. We definitely over deliver. And that's just the way it is. So this bike, in my opinion, is ready for a test ride. You're available Saturday?
Not Saturday, but tomorrow or Sunday.
Oh, you're available tomorrow?
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you about helping me with that electrics. But yeah, I can come down here test drive this, then we can go work at my shop on that electrics installation.
Okay,
So,
cool. All right, guys, we're going to call it a day. No, we're not. We're just going to get this off the lift.
okay,
And I'm going to put another bike on the lift,
Okay.
and work on another bike.
sounds good.
All right, that's the way it is.
Yep.
So, at worst, don't think of these things as technical training.
Yeah.
Think of them more of a poorly written soap opera.
An adventure.
Pretty well describes us, doesn't it?
Amen to that.
Amen. All right, later, man. Bye. Well, this is the bike formerly known as the Limey bike, and we've fought wet sumping issues with it for a long, long time. Tried several different solutions. Client decided he's just going to live with it and dump the sump before he rides it each time. I came up with several different options, and I'll do a video on them because they look really cool. I'll do a separate video. But anyway, the fork seals on the bike seem to be leaking, and the client brought over all new fork seals and fork bushings, and that'll be the final effort on the bike once that's done, and we do a cold start and a Kevin test ride. And this one has the Mark III, I think it is, ammo. So, anyway, here's the bushings and the gasket seals, etc. For the bike. And I'm going to do that today. So right now I'm going to go post this video, and then I'll come out here and work on the bike.